Today's project is I need to replace both front ABS sensors on this. It's a 1999 F-350. It's a dually, not that that should really matter if it's an F-350 or pretty much any. I mean, I've replaced these before in other cars and things. It's all pretty much the same process. This is a little different just because it's a heavy-duty truck. So, once we take the tire off, there's a little adapter plate back in here you got to take off. But other than that, replacing these are all pretty much the same, but figure I'd walk you guys through this process. I kind of like making these videos where you kind of save yourself a couple $100 just if you kind of want to get your hands dirty. This is not a difficult process at all. So just need a basic set of tools. I've got a jack, a couple jack stands, and then as far as actual tools I'll be using, I got some impact sockets. I've got the mechanics tool set. This is it's $150, $200 at Harbor Freight, but it's their full mechanics set. So you'll definitely need some screwdrivers, some sockets, and then I've got a couple impact wrenches and PB blaster. For the most part, I think this is all we're going to really need. I've got a pair of safety glasses and some gloves, but other than that, pretty much a basic set of tools. So let's get this truck jacked up and get going. All right, got the truck jacked up, and we're gonna start getting this tire off here. So once you have all the bolts off, this adapter plate should come right off. I'm going to guess it's probably been a little while since this has come off last, so I'm going to let some of this PB blaster sit for a little bit, and then I'm going to take I have a little sledgehammer, a little mini one that I'm going to try to hit the back of this, see if I can break it loose. So in order to get to the sensor, we actually have to take all of this apart. The rotor's got to come off, the caliper's got to come off, so I'm going to take all of this off. And then right here is the actual wire for the AB sensor. So right here, you can see there's a little plug back in here. That's where it plugs in at, and then it goes all the way back, and it actually goes right behind that rotor. And you can't get to it unless you take it off. So next step is take off the caliper bracket, and then we'll be able to pull the rotor off and then move on to the ABS sensor. .21mm for the caliper bracket. And let me show you here. So it's these bigger ones here. These are the bolts you want to remove. So there's one on top, one on bottom. Once you get those done, this whole thing should slide off. Now the pads will be touching the rotor, so you'll probably have to use a little bit of force to get this off, but it should come off, and then we'll bungee cord it up somewhere, or do something so it doesn't fall. So. We'll get a bungee cord here in a second, but got the caliper off and the caliper bracket, and then we're going to pull this rotor off, which luckily slid right on. Alright, so now that that's off, once you got the rotor off, the ABS sensor is exposed, which is right here. I know lighting is not perfect. Let me see if I can get a light real quick. That's a little bit better. So there you can see it's just an Allen bolt there. It's got an Allen head on it. You gotta take that off and then it pulls right up. Now, the catch with this is that usually these are really hard to pull out and you gotta be really careful. Otherwise you could break it off in there. The whole sensor is just plastic. And if you break that off in there, that sucks. I've done it once and I was luckily able to pull it out through the top, but typically you have to take the hub off to get to it. So let's not do that. So I'm gonna let some PB Blaster sit on this for a little bit, and I'm gonna get a bungee cord so I can properly tie the caliper up so it doesn't fall. And first I'm gonna throw some PB Blaster on here and let it sit for a little bit. Another thing to mention that I just noticed, I guess you can say this sensor's bad. The wire's totally exposed, shielding's totally cut through. Who knows how that happened, but considering all of these lines were just kind of dangling and not tied up or tied together anywhere, I'm gonna guess that this was just kind of rattling around in here and probably the inside of the wheel rubbed on it or something. That's what it looks like to me. So anyways, this definitely needs to be replaced. So yeah, on to the next thing. Alright, that's all that is. Just a little Allen head bolt. And if you saw, I actually stuck the head of this in and then gave it a real light tap with the hammer. And I like to do that just to avoid any chance of stripping out the actual head there. So you don't have to hit it hard, just enough to let it seat in there really good. There's a bunch of, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, there's a lot of little rust and corrosion in there, so that's why I did that. So I'm gonna actually see if I can pry up on that at all, hopefully get a little gap going, and if I get a gap between the hub and that sensor, I can spray some PB Blaster down in there and that'll help break it free. While the PB Blaster's sitting there soaking, I'm going to start taking apart this line. All I'm going to do is trace it back, take it off. There's a little vacuum tube, or a breather tube, I mean. Just set that over there. There you go. That's all there is to it. This clip here, it plugs in. There's a little clip right here. You just push down, pull it out, comes right out. So real simple. Aha! Came out all together. Just make sure I got some PB Blaster down in there. And that wasn't too bad. All I did was just keeping it working it side to side, kept rotating it, and then I felt it sliding up, pulled, and easy enough. Alright, one thing I should have mentioned on the other side, I'm actually on the passenger side now, but I was going to go ahead and take this one off really quick. Just wasn't going to film it because it's, well, pretty much identical to the other side. So the other side obviously had some broken clips and things. That's actually probably why that ABS sensor was bad. And this one, I mean, it looks like it's in decent shape, but I'm going to go and replace it anyway because it's a $60 part, so why not do both at the same time, make sure we get rid of the issue I'm having. So anyways, I mean, everything's pretty much the same, but there are some clips. When you put it back together, you'll definitely want to make sure to use those. Again, I think the other side failed because whoever fixed this last, or, you know, fixed, didn't do that, and so you know, we had issues. So anyways, there's a little clip behind the heat shield, or the little brake dust shield. There's a little clip down in here, and there's a little 8mm bolt that, you know, it's just a standard 8mm. You got to take that out. I mean, all this is pretty much self-explanatory, but I thought I'd just address it real quick. And then you know, all these little rubber grommets on on the sensor clip in these little white clips. So again, as we're putting this together, you want to make sure to use those. If the clips themselves are broken, I'd still get some zip ties or something. Or actually, these clips are, I'm sure you can get these pretty cheap. So I'd probably even just buy new clips. It can't be much. So anyways, again, just thought I'd address it real quick. Everything else pretty self-explanatory. There is a little up along the frame, there's a little clip up here that it does clip into, and how you get these off, you just kind of twist it without breaking it. You got to be careful, but you can twist it out of place and it pops right off. So pretty simple. Anyways, I guess let's install the new one. Alright, got the new part. Here's the part number, if it'll focus. ABS 308. It's by BWD. And the first thing I did, I made sure to look at the old one, look at the new one. They look pretty identical, so I say we're good to go. What's also nice about this is that it has all new clips on it. So got a new clip here which goes up on the frame, and then that clip that's broken on, actually that clip is broken on, that clip's broken on this side, and as far as this one up here, that's broken as well, but the new sensor comes with that right here, so that's pretty nice. I like using NACs on pretty much anything I can. Just helps a little bit if I have to take this back apart or anything. Just as a side note, when you're using this, I literally just tap it with the brush, as you saw, because as you thread the bolt on there, it's going to spread evenly. So don't need to be a master painter with this stuff. When you put the lug nuts back on, make sure you do a cross pattern, just like what I did. It helps spread the tire evenly when you're putting it back on. So yeah, as easy as that. Got the cover put on now. That's all there is to it. Save yourself a few $100 and do this job yourself.